like who I am with you in vicinity. I like how I look looking through your eyes. We build each other up with the sweet affinity. Watch the ripples grow as it multiplies. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Time slows down. Here we go, here we go, here we go. And we're headed to forever. It couldn't get any better. We, you and me. Here we go, here we go, here we go. 'Cause we're doing it together. It couldn't get any better. We, you and me. Doing what we do it like we mean it. Not just some words, our hearts and souls. We take what we got, twist it into music. If it's coming to an end, then I don't wanna let go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Time slows down with you. And I don't wanna pick it up now. Here we go, here we go, here we go. And we're headed to forever. It couldn't get any better. We, yeah, you and me. Here we go, here we go, here we go. 'Cause we're doing it together. It couldn't get any better. We, yeah, you and me. Not just some words, it's everything. Happy Sunday, everybody. Here we are. Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Am I on? The light is on. Hello out there in the virtual world, if you can see us. And good morning to each of you here. It's so good seeing you guys here. Thank you for being here. I missed you last week. Where was I last week? Oh, I was in Seal Beach last week. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to Steve and Paul, who are working so diligently. We're a little delayed today, and I know it's just not them, because I know other colleagues in the field, there's something happening. Maybe it's the eclipse, who knows? But virtually things are a little bit awry right now. So they're working very diligently to get this. And so if you are able to see us in the virtual world, say a special blessing for Paul and Steve, because they're doing it. And a couple of announcements coming down the road. So apparently, last week, it wasn't clarified that we've pushed the town hall meeting back to November 7th. And I'll explain a little bit about that as the service unrolls. Just some things we're just working some stuff. And so we are taking a tactical retreat, the town hall meeting. I'll talk a little bit about it in my talk today, just kind of where things are and what's happening. And I got to tell you, I'm more excited now than I have been in 15 years. Maybe more than that, but at least 15 years. I'm very excited about things. So some things rolling down. And with that also is my class, which I'm really excited to teach. We're going to push that back to January, only because what we're wanting to do is make sure that we have a seamless technology to be able to do the hybrid that we want to do, which is to do it live if you want to come into the center on a Wednesday evening and take the class, or if you want to be home and do it by Zoom. So it's really important that we do it right. And so, there's this, I think it's my favorite line in the I Ching, where they say that if you're sometimes moving forward and the forces that you're moving against appear stronger than you are, the wisest thing to do as a tactical retreat is to back off and regroup. So that's kind of what that's all about. And it's more of a technological retreat, I guess, than strategically retreat. But anyway, that's going on. But some things are happening, and I'm very excited. And one of them is In 2 weeks, the 23rd, Ariel is going to begin teaching yoga on Friday mornings here at the center. You want to talk about that? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So lovely to see you from this vantage point. I'm so excited to teach yoga on Friday mornings, 10:30. Everybody is welcome. Come as you are. Someone asked me about mobility, and you can be in a chair, you can be on the floor, you can be however you are right now is perfect. We will breathe together, we will move together, we'll sing and chant and pray and just collect our thoughts and what Rev serves us on Sundays into our bodies and into our field. So I'm so excited to share that with you. Thank you for having me.
So excited that you're doing this. I'm really excited, yeah. So that's going on. The town hall meeting's coming down. Jim was fabulous last week from what I hear. Haven't seen it yet. Again, and Reverend Caroline Flanders is next Sunday because I'm going on Tuesday. Oh, fabulous. There's that one right there. And some I'm just going to make up so they don't have graphics yet. I leave Tuesday morning. I'm going to Theology Beer Camp in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I'm so excited. So that's there. Open Mind Gift Shop is open. Oh, Tim Braun, yes. Tim Braun is this coming Friday night. Saturday night. It is. Instead of me? I think you're probably right. Yeah. Yeah. And for those of you who are watching the virtual world, we're on the verge of a riot here in the building. So that's kind of where things are. We got some things I'll talk about a little bit here as we move along. So there's transparency and good stuff. And I hope you're sharing the same enthusiasm that I am. How you doing, Liz?
I'm doing great. Not on, but I'm doing
Try pushing the button.
It is.
Oh.
There we go. There we go. Woo. I'm doing really well this morning and happy to be here and just see, I'm looking around, I'm seeing the faces that I so love and know and new faces that I want to get to know. And more than that, I look at the faces of all of you and I see God. And I'm so happy to share this experience this morning with you. So that's how I am today.
Good. So our theme for the month is travel alone, travel fast, travel far, travel together. Consider that. Travel fast, travel alone. Travel far, travel together. So that's kind of where we're going. So with that, are you
I want to open us up, yeah. So as I said, my name is Liz, and I'm your practitioner of service today for those of you that don't know me yet. And hopefully after the service we can talk and meet. So I am so happy to be here this morning. I got up and I thought, it's been a while since I've been on platform, and I love being here. I love looking at your faces and feeling my heart open and looking at each of you, knowing that we're here truly as a community and as a family. And with so much going on in the world, it's so much more important for us to be together, for us to unite in our spirit and our love, and open up our hearts that join us together. So I'd like to start this morning with a prayer. So if you choose, just get comfortable in your seat. Just know that whatever you're feeling is okay. You're here. And as I embrace my breath and know that as we breathe together, breath is what joins us as well as joins us with spirit. And it's the breath of life. It's the breath of life, light, love, all of the things that we want for our beingness. It gets us out of that doing. It centers us in our bodies. It grounds us, and it grounds me. So this morning as we breathe, and we breathe together, knowing that we are united, not only are our hearts united, but we're united with God. And that spirit is right here, right now. I can feel it. I can feel it in the air. I can feel it around you because it is so strong. And that spirit is love and God, knowing that that's what I want in my life. That is my driving force and my foundation. It opens me up to feel connected with all of you and everything in life. Every sentient being, every blade of grass is God. The clouds, the ocean, this beautiful, beautiful planet, all of this is God. And when I'm connected, I'm open. My heart is there. I'm in a different channel in my life. I'm in a different place. As we come together today and hear Reverend Guy's words and hear Lee's beautiful music, may we feel the same presence, the same energy, so that when we leave with a very different feeling, a feeling of embracing life and opening and seeing the joy and the beauty and putting away the fears, the frustration, leaving that behind. So let us enjoy, let us love together, let us get connected together and feel that, knowing that these words are already spoken, they're already in that universal spirit, that infinite Alpha and Omega that never dies, that is always alive. And with this gratitude, deep, deep gratitude, together we say, and so it is. Today, there we go. As Rev said, if we travel alone, and we are alone, where do we go? Where do we go in life? If we isolate? But if we're together and we're united in that togetherness with love and spirit, we can do so much more. So the reading that I chose for this morning is by Annie Lamott. And I love her books, and I just think she's very down to earth and very intuitive. If you're lucky, you'll find your way into a spiritual community, and you start to find the great teachers of all ages who said the same thing. There's only love, and you're made of love, and so it is. So join with me as we begin our service in a 3-minute contemplation. And just take in those words, take in the feeling of being here, the feeling of love and unity.
chance, we'll travel the world. She takes her time, makes it last. You wanna move forward, know your past. She put that wisdom straight into your system. What you wanna do, I'm glad you asked. We'll travel the world, travel this world. It's your oyster, you're the pearl. So exciting, just keep riding. I booked that flight, we'll travel the world. Hey, oh, 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 yeah, yeah. Let's travel this world. She'll be the change, she's got that plan. She's gonna help the people understand. She talked to anyone in every land. I'm the luckiest man when she takes my hand. If something's wrong, she stand up strong. She makes things fun when she hums along. Honey, kick your feet up, we just got back. If you don't think I love her, you don't know Jack. We're traveling the world. Let's travel the world. We'll travel the world, yeah. Let's travel this world. Travel the world, travel the world. It's your oyster, you're the pearl. Bonjour, aloha, up a cup of ola. Nowhere too far, we'll travel the world. Hey, oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's travel the world. She searches high, searches low, looking for the things we should know. Makes it great when it's just so-so. If it's not right here, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go together. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Thank you. Please welcome the Dr. Reverend Guy.
Not sure where my parameters are where I can move, so I'm going to just kind of stay in this area here. I can move anywhere I want to? Fabulous. Okay. So I want to share kind of the roots of this talk, because a talk is something, as a minister, you're sort of always looking for or listening for the muse. Where is it going to speak to you? What's kind of going on? Where are things happening? And I had lunch this week with a member of our community, and we were talking. And in our conversation, we were talking about what we both experienced as sort of a golden age of our community. That was a couple years ago, and we both sort of looked at that. And so what I realized, it kind of triggered me into a little bit of nostalgia. And I love that word nostalgia because it's very closely related to homesickness. And even though there's not melancholy in this, but there is sort of this this yearning, this longing kind of thing that's coming up. And, a longing is a powerful thing. Because there's this great poem by Rumi where he talks about how he'd prayed to Allah and prayed to Allah and prayed to Allah. And, he didn't get any answers. And so he sort of gives up. And then he's visited by this divine being that says, why'd you give up? And he says, well, because I wasn't getting any answers. And what the guy says is, I was in your longing. That the answer to the prayer is in the longing, that yearning in our heart. That's where the divine place is. And if we can kind of appreciate that, it takes us to this place of amazement, wonder, surprise. It blocks out the kind of the linear thinking and moves us into this other place. And when I was thinking about that, I immediately went back to what I shared a couple weeks ago, which was when I was in Hawaii and up on the North Shore, I had this opportunity to see the starry world in a way that I'd never seen it before. It was just breathtaking. It was magnificent. There's no way to kind of describe what it is. And, I go outside at our house and I looked up, and the other day I could see the moon and I could see Jupiter, and that was good, and I was grateful and I was happy. But to see that canopy of heaven was just, it's still with me. There's still that yearning in there, that longing, that power that's there. You know, and what we know in the world of metaphysics, probably rule number one in metaphysics is focus is force. Focus is force. Meaning the thing that is focused becomes extremely powerful. Think in terms of the wind. Now we can go outside and the wind is blowing here and the wind is blowing there and it's lovely and it's wonderful and it's comfortable, but boy, put the force of the wind behind a sail and it will move a large ship across the ocean. Or we just watched, you know, what happens when a hurricane comes blowing through town. We saw that with our loved ones in Florida. You know, the force, because it's focused, it's directed, it's moving. Or water's the same way. You know, a lovely stream is a beautiful thing to see as it kind of trickles around there. But funnel it, man, it's powerful. Or light, you know, photons the same way. You know, they're here, they're there. It's a very gentle light that we have here, but focus that thing into a laser and it could bore a hole through a rock. And it's the same with our thoughts. It's the same with our focus, our attention, you know, that what we focus on. And what I would say is it's not even so much about manifestation as it is about selection. So it's where our attention is where the power becomes, and you know, in a universe of infinite possibilities, you know, everything exists in that realm. But when we focus on it, it localizes. When we select where our attention is, powerful things happen. And that reminded me, because again, this is a trip down memory lane, that reminded me of a book back in the 80s. I used to do a lot of work with people with the condition of AIDS when I lived in San Diego. And there was a book out then. It was John Plowski, I think the author's name is. And I don't want to reread the book or even invite you to, I mean, maybe it was a good book, but the title of it says it all, which is this: you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. Let that sink in. You cannot afford the luxury of a negative thought. And if we just step back for a moment, focus is force. What we dwell on is what we are selecting. And what we are selecting begins to show up in the affairs of our life. And oh my goodness gracious, this is tempting, right? But it's one of those things that we remind ourselves and we remind ourselves and we remind ourselves. And I was thinking again back into the starry world that what it does, the tool that it has, and the resource that I'm able to have just holding the memory of that is that place of amazement, of wonder, of awe, of surprise, of being curious, not judgmental. Abraham Heschel says, he says that the surest way to suppress our ability to understand the meaning of the divine and the importance of connecting it is to take things for granted. Indifference to the sublime, he says, to the sublime wonder of being is the root of sin. Indifference is the root of sin. Now, we don't like to use that word, and that's a whole other conversation. So if you feel more comfortable thinking in terms of erroneous thought or missing the mark or whatever the case may be, use that, but indifference is what brings us into the weeds. Madeline L'Engle in her book, well, I won't go there. She says this. She says, when we take things for granted, then what we have is not enough, and we are rendered vulnerable to the wiles of the tempter. When we take things for granted, then we fall into this belief of lack, and then the mischief ensues. So we can't afford the luxury of allowing our focus to move into things that we don't want to select within our worlds. And for me, that practice is always going back into the starry world. And I think about that, is in the language, in the mystical language of watching this canopy of heaven. It is so many things, but one of the things that it is, if we think about it, is it's a way to tell time, seasons, years, and cycles. Think about it. By watching the sun every day, we're able to know what day it is in the progressions of days. We watch the moon, and it tells us what month we're in. We watch the rising and the fall of the constellations and the signs, and we see the seasons. And we look into the eastern horizon of what's ascending or rising, we see the hour. So we're able to see a symbolic language that's speaking to us of the times, the seasons, the years, and cycles. And again, that contemplation got me thinking of Pete Seeger, because that's where you were going, right? Because in 1959, he wrote a song that was picked up in 1965 by the Byrds. The Byrds, pulling these lines from this ancient Hebrew poem that is as timeless as it is. There's to everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck things up. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. Times, seasons, years, cycles. And at one point we can read this, and what it's inviting us to do is allow ourselves to experience every feeling and every emotion that comes up, right? To be fully embraced. One of the things that my teacher used to say is, order for you to experience anything, you have to be willing to experience everything. Or what she said is, in order to experience anything, you have to experience the willingness to experience everything. Times, seasons, years, cycles. It's just about being present. It's about allowing ourselves to be in any moment with curiosity, with wonder, allowing ourselves that place of surprise, as opposed to simply judgmental or indifference. It's what it means to be fully alive in so many things. And I was thinking about that, because in this same ancient book of poems, there's another one that Annie shared a couple weeks ago, where the author says this: two are better than one because they have a good return for their hard work. If either should fall, one can pick up the other. But how miserable are those who fall and have no companion to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they can stay warm. But how can one stay warm alone? Also, one can be overpowered, but two together can put up resistance. A three-plied cord is not easily broken. So, what it is speaking to is something that Liz was talking about, which is this idea of community. And then again, we look at our lives, the times, the seasons, the years, the cycles. And I love this parable that we're using as a theme this month. I heard it was an African parable. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know where it came from. That's how it was quoted to me, but it's still salient, which is travel fast, travel alone. Travel far, travel together. Sit with that. And there's not a judgment that says one's better than the other, because in the times, the seasons of our lives, we may be doing one because it's appropriate, and other times we may be doing the other because it's appropriate. Think in your own life. because there's something that you want to accomplish. There's something that you want to do. You need to cut through the red tape. You don't have time. You're just kind of moving with something. It's a powerful thing. And you're wanting to move on this thing. So it's appropriate to travel alone, right? To get there, to do it, get it done. But other times, if we're wanting to build something sustainable, if we're wanting to create something that lasts, if we're really wanting to go the distance, then it's about how we move, touch, and inspire others into our vision of where, of what it is. Years ago, I took something called the Forum. And, I took the Forum and I took the one after that, Son of Forum or whatever it's called, and, spent plenty of money on it. But one of the things that I got from it that I remember, if anything else, is this, is they say that in this life, you can get whatever you want, provided you have two things. And the first is a clear vision of what you want. And the second thing is to enroll other people in that vision. And how we enroll other people in that vision is to move, to touch, to inspire. So think about your life right now. Is there something that's calling you? Is the divine inviting you to create, to be, to do? And do you have a clear vision of what that is? And are you able to enroll people in that vision? Travel far, travel together by moving, touching, inspiring. So that's kind of where I see myself now in this interesting time that we find ourselves. When I came here, well, actually not when I came, before I came here in 2005, right around this time when I was invited to become the spiritual director of this place, two things came up to me. One is I would go down, because I lived in San Diego, I would go down to the harbor every day, or almost not every day, a couple times a week, once or twice a week. I would go down and I would sit on the boat, the Surprise. Now the Surprise was the boat that was used in Master and Commander of the High Seas. It's a tall ship. And I would sit on that, and I had this vision, dare to dream. Dare to dream was my vision, to dare to dream big. I was going to become the spiritual director of a site. And it's kind of funny if you know me, because if you know me well enough, you know I don't like boats. I don't like being on the water on a boat. It's like the last thing I want to do is on a boat. But here I am sitting, and it's in a dock. So, I can do all this visioning and all this projecting and all this, because it's safely moored to the pier there, so it's not going anywhere. But I could get this vision of it, looking out on it, the whole thing. Really, now that I'm thinking about it, are there such things as digressions? So really is seeing myself on the helm of the Enterprise. Well, I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I could have this mental equivalent. On this boat. So I had this. So it was like, dare to dream. That's the vision. That's where I'm taking this boat. Is a place where each and every person is invited to dream the fullest expression of their life. And that we can do that together. And my compass is from my favorite line in the Science of Mind text. If you were to ask me, can you distill the entire Science of Mind text in one paragraph, I could say, well, yes, I can. And here it is. It's on page 282 for those who keep score. So Dr. Holmes writes this. He says, when things look their worst is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. The person who can throw themselves with complete abandon, the person who can throw themselves with complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity, having cut forth all apparent moorings, to them comes the greatest reward. When things look their worst is the best time to work, Sit with that one because it's focus, right? Focus is force, man. It gets your attention. When there's a crisis, when there's a knock on the door or a pink letter from somebody or something like that, man, it has our attention. There's power. That's the time to engage. That's not the time to waily and run into the hills. That's the time to be there. And how do we do it? To cast ourselves with complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity, to cut loose from all apparent moorings from the past, unless, of course, you're me on the surprise, but we're talking metaphorically here. And that's where the fun is. That's where the juice is. That's where things are. And if I can, bore you for a moment here with just carrying this metaphor of a ship. I'm thinking about where we are as a community. You know, the ship of the Hilltop Spiritual Center has been through some really rough seas called the pandemic. And what that looked like, you know, and how we've kind of come out of that. The storm has passed. But as I look at the state of where we are, you know, a couple people went overboard. A couple people jumped ship. We got a few refugees and stragglers along the way. We sprung a leak. Our sails are a little tattered, you know, and we're just trying to find our way home, find a safe harbor. But here we are. And here's that invitation for all hands on deck. Here's that time when it looks the worst, you know, because there's all kinds of, you know, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? We're going to be okay. Because there's a willingness to know that this is the time that we really begin to do the work. This is the time where we can't afford the luxury of negative thinking, of wailing. And think about your own life. I mean, you're a member of this community because your heart has called you here, because my guess is there's a correlation of what's going on with you personally and what's happening collectively, because they seem to work. That's why we drew ourselves to each other. And so, you know, what happens on one level is happening on another level, is happening on another level. Time, season, years, cycles, suns, moons, planets, signs, all of it interconnected, one way or the other. So what time is it? You know, what's our season that we're in? You know, we're in a season where we have moved from, thank you, Pluto, we have moved through this great composting. And something new is wanting to emerge. Something new is luring itself to us. And it may show up in your life like a crisis. But this is the time this is the time that we engage. And so, I think in terms then of what is our practice as crew members on this good ship, the Enterprise, or whatever it is, or whatever metaphor you want to use. How do we do this? We can travel fast and go it alone. There's nothing wrong with that because there's a season for that. But if we're wanting to create something, what I know about going fast is it's not tenable. Meaning, if you go fast, you burn a lot of calories. You burn a lot of energy, and eventually you flame out. And you know, there's a term that's out these days. It's called burnout. And I think traveling fast, traveling alone, leaves us vulnerable to burnout. And burnout is an interesting thing, you know, because the very nature of what it means to be a person is to be generative, to create. That's the nature of who we are. But if we experience burnout, we're no longer generative. We're no longer creating. You know, we've run out. So, as these ancient Hebrews understood, two is better than one. A three-ply cord is not easily broken. That we learn to rely on each other to create what is good, even more important than truth, is what is beautiful. You know, Paul Ricoeur says that. He says, truth becomes too competitive. You know, I have my truth, you have your truth. really what you have are opinions, but beauty, as Dostoevsky says in The Idiot, beauty will save the world. And so our thing is to create beauty. And that takes energy, as any artist or artisan knows here. It takes energy, it takes work, and it's better done together. So we have a vision, which is to invite each and every one of us to dream big right now in this remarkable season that we're in. We have a compass, this interesting text from Ernest Holmes. And I think we have a code. And I'm going to offer you the code from T.S. Eliot's. To do the useful thing, to say the courteous thing, to contemplate the beautiful thing, that is enough for one person's life. To do the useful thing, to say the courteous thing, to contemplate the beautiful thing, that is enough for one person's life. Thank you.
Slightly, all right. Yeah, okay, that's better. Cool. Perfect. Thanks, Steve. All right, I wasn't going to sing this song, but the Reverend was talking about nostalgia, and it's one of my favorite songs to play. I wrote a song of that title, and it's about, capturing those moments in life, which is kind of the best we can do. Appreciate the goodness for all it is. So it's called Nostalgia. Like a high school dance move, they played your favorite song when you were dreaming a dream when you were only 18. I wanna be that one. I wanna be that one. I love to live in your nostalgia. Love, I love everything about you. Love, I love not much without you. Love, I love to live in your nostalgia. You're a miracle worker since you came along. I've been living the high life, kissing none of the lights glisten in the sun. I wanna be that one. Oh, the sound of your laughter, we were hanging out after, how'd you get so fun? I wanna be that one. Love, I love to live in your nostalgia. Love, I love everything about you. Love, I love not much without you. Love, I love to live in your nostalgia. So tight, and I lay my cards down right, and I light that spark in the dark and fading night. When you're stuck in traffic, waiting on a plane, I'll be walking my talk while you're taking a walk down memory lane. still look the same. Oh, you look the same. You're like a high school dance move. You're like my favorite song. When you were dreaming a dream when you were only 18, I wanna be that one. I've gotta be that one. Love, I love to live in your nostalgia. Love, I love everything about you. Love, I love not much without you. Love, I love to live in your nostalgia. 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 You know what I'm talking about. Next week I'll play the Bird song, or the Pete Seeger song. I didn't know you mentioned. Oh, okay. All right, yeah, absolutely. No, if he.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Reverend Guy. That was lifted my soul, and it gave me a lot of inspiration. Thank you. It comes time now for our conscious giving, but before we do that, I want to share a little bit of my personal journey of why I came here. And when I call this my spiritual family and home, what I mean by it was about 14 years ago when I lost my husband. And it was a hard time for me, of course, and I was floundering, and actually I was going to Craig Losey for therapy, for massage therapy, and he was telling me all about these classes that he was going to, and I was kind of curious. And so I asked him to tell me more. He was recommending some books because I was going through my own dark night of the soul. And I was feeling in pieces and just trying to figure out, what is this all about? You know, the song, what is this all about? And he said, why don't you try it? And I said, well, what is it? He said, well, it's science of mind. And I said, I don't know, that kind of sounds kind of cultish, you know, a little bit like Scientology or some weird thing. And he said, why don't you try it? So I did. I grabbed my girlfriend so I wouldn't be alone. And we came. And then I heard Reverend Guy. And he spoke to me because I had come from very fundamental religious background, Baptist, and my father was a minister in Europe. And so we lived at the church. And I kind of walked away from it because I didn't like the dogma. I didn't like all the restrictions, and what I saw was hypocrisy. But, you know, for a lot of people, it worked. And then I was just kind of floating. And I came here and I heard his words. And when he said, no matter what your walk for your own spiritual journey is, you are welcome here. And it was such a welcoming, inviting place, and I thought, and I kept coming back, and as I kept coming back, I started going to the classes, and then I started to open up more, and then I became a practitioner because Reverend Guy said, this is like getting an MBA or a PhD in your emotional and spiritual development, and that really appealed to me, to be of service, and I found a complete way of life. So that's what this place means to me. It is truly my spiritual home. So I hope for you it resonates in that way, and I hope for you that you feel uplifted and you feel like there are tools in which we can live a different life. And if you choose to give, put your heart, put your money, your check, whatever, or even just touch your heart to know that as you're giving, it is going out in multiple areas to help, not only Hilltop, but the community at large. And you give because you desire to give, because it lights you up, and you do it with generosity. So thank you for being here.
Sometimes we get very personal, but we're also broad. We are a thriving, welcoming community, and I invite you to come again and to see us again and to visit. I'd love to get to meet you after service. If you would like prayer, anybody, if you would like prayer, there are practitioners here. If the practitioners would please stand and give a wave. Just walk up to one of them and say, do you have a moment for prayer? And they would say, yes, I do. Also, Liz is going to be leading a prayer circle in the Emerson room about 5 minutes after service. You can also fill out a prayer request, and the practitioners pray over them during the week. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say. Actually, apparently I have two things to say. One more is this. Paul and Steve are doing a fabulous job on the soundboard and the visual board there. And if that's something that seems fun and exciting to you, we would love to create a team. So, and to be part of that, maybe you know more than us. So if you'd like to be part of that, maybe volunteer one Sunday a month or something, just to learn it, to be part of setting up sound and that kind of stuff. See Steve after service, and he'll dial you in. And then what was the third thing? I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Paul, Steve. I want to say thank you to the Langers, who are the greeters this morning. Lee, always your music is fabulous. And all of you guys for being here. It was just a wonderful opportunity to be with all of you guys today. So thank you for that. Let's pray out. Again, Emerson says prayer is the contemplation of from the facts of life from the highest point of view. Facts of life are this: there's one life, one presence, one intelligence in this universe that reveals itself in and through and as all things. And that life that is living itself in all things is a life that is living itself individualized, personalized as each and every one of us. And that there is a wisdom that lures us into a greater experience of our good. There is a strength that supports us in so many ways. And there's a beauty that surrounds us, filling us all with this place of amazement and wonder, lead us to live a more curious and less judgmental life. And so I bless each and every one of us in that consciousness, giving thanks for this time that we have been together. And together we say, and so it is.
Got a brand new one I wrote like 2 days ago. So creative energy coming through. It's a bit of a prayer for kind of what I do as a living, singing to the people. So you'll hear what it's all about, I guess. People passing by, feeling high, smiling you. Bet libations and vibrations, these occasions you can't forget. It's how I make a dollar, just singing to the sun. Another day, another dollar, I'm singing to the sunset. Singing to the sun. Here we are, you and me, no matter where you came from. Outside of history, you got your name from. Life could be a dream, like a song on a calm breeze. These melodies got me swinging like palm trees. People passing by, feeling high, smiling you. Bet libations and vibrations, these occasions you can't forget. It's like I'll make a dollar just singing to the sun. Another day, another dollar, I'm singing to the sunset. Just singing to the sun. All the stress and the struggle, it's hard to be alive. Yes, let's make a bubble, let the good vibes thrive. There's a love inside me coming right through, and I can feel the same thing coming from you. People passing by, feeling high, smiling you. Bet libations and vibrations, these occasions you can't forget. It's how I make a dollar, just singing to the sun. Another day, another dollar, I'm singing to the sunset. Just singing to the sun. And that's why I get by. And it's why I get by. And that's why I get by. Why I get by. So let's get the most for our ancestors as we toast to the ghosts of our forefathers. The soldiers, explorers, for all before us. I sing this chorus, people passing by, feeling high, smiling you. Libations and vibrations, these occasions you can't forget. It's how I make a dollar, just singing to the sun. Another day, another dollar, I'm singing to the sunset. Singing to the sun, singing to the sunset, just singing to the sun. And it's why I get by, and that's why I get by, and it's why I get by. Why I get by, and you're why I get by. Happy Sunday, everybody. Have a great one.